Hello and welcome to this new video. Today we have the walkthrough of the front gameplay, and I will show you what I'm doing when I play front, what I'm thinking, and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So we go into my perspective. It's a quite old replay, it's like 2 months ago, so I have quite a lot of mistakes in that I wouldn't do today, but I'm gonna discuss them so you can avoid them too. So I start with the usual build order. I go for land factory and then 3 mexes. I walk to my ACU to the front and I reclaim some racks. I reclaim this rack because I really needed to not stall power, to not stall mass in the early game. And then I just go into the middle and reclaim all the Tech 3 racks. And after I reclaim the Tech 3 racks, I reclaim the Setoms. That's just because it's basically the most efficient way to go first for the Tech 3 racks. And then my first 2 NGs going for pigeons and land factories. And yeah, these NGs just manual reclaiming. Consider at the front, at the top front, you have these rocks and these trees, and these tree groups are all broken. So don't try to reclaim these because yeah, you're just gonna waste a lot of time and don't get a lot of mass or energy from it. So just walk through them and reclaim the trees which are further away. Then on front you need this engine because this hydro is further away than this hydro, which means you will have less power generated at the same time, and that's why you need this engine to not stall power. And then you go just for the normal expansion routes, building a radar here so you see all the units. You also need land scouts in your army mix, but also for detecting bombers or stuff like that can this radar be very useful. And then for my second factory I go for NGs, which is very... I don't see a lot of build orders with that, but it's very good because you can reclaim these tree groups, these trees, and you get such a lot of mass from it, and that's very useful to be able to scale even faster your economy, because if I reclaim all these trees I can even upgrade 4 mexes. I can upgrade 4 mexes to spend all my mass. And if I don't reclaim these trees, I can only upgrade 3 mexes. So these trees are very useful. But after a few NGs, I switch to tanks so I don't get overrun here. So you build like... it depends on how greedy you want to be against who you are. I would usually go for like 3 to 6 NGs out of this factory. So you really want to build the least amount of units while not getting overrun here and not donating too much reclaim to the enemy, because then it's not effective anymore. If you don't build units here and that results in your opponent forcing you out of the mid very early, you lose all this reclaim in the middle, and then you didn't save any mass here. You actually did a very bad trade. Then this energy goes also for reclaiming more racks, so you just... like, otherwise this engine would just stand around, and now it can be really useful and it reclaims at least a few racks. Every NG out of this factory actually, after you did the initial build order, goes just for reclaiming.
Commander wird angegriffen.
And also you see my ACU going towards this base. That's because I know that with the time it's way harder for me to reclaim these wrecks than these wrecks, right? Because I gotta lose hit points, he has 2 ACUs there, he has units there. So getting these wrecks is way harder than getting these wrecks, which are way closer to my base. So I really want to focus these wrecks, and also my NG is reclaiming them anyway. So that's why I'm going towards his base and not towards my base. Otherwise it's just normal eco-balance. Just try to keep your mass bar as low as possible. And then I'm going in this scenario. I first of all I switch to 2 NGs again because the reclaim in the middle is away. I don't need any more tanks because there is nothing to fight really over for. So why should I build more tanks to secure that? So I just go for more NGs to be able to get my Tech 2 HQ very fast. And I go in this case for Tech 2 Air HQ because I want to go for Tech 2 Air Cancel and not for Tech 2. Usually you would go for Tech 2 Land, but in this case I go for Tech 2 Air just because I actually want to use the air units. You do that all the time if you go for TML ACU, so you have a Tech 2 transport, or you go for Nothus. Yeah, I mean it's obvious why you need then Tech 2 HQ. And important is, if you go for Tech 2 Air Cancel, you need to have done the most of your impact before minute 10. Because at minute 10 he has the air player has a Tech 3 Pigeon and gonna produce ASF, which means that your Tech 2 Air is basically useless at that time. So do the main of your impact before minute 10. That's just the time you have to keep in mind when going for Tech 2 Air Cancel. Then of course you need a Tech 2 Pigeon to build Tech 2 Air. And I really want to get this quite fast, this Tech 2 Pigeon. I have not enough build power actually. I should have had more. But so I don't overflow mass at this time because I don't have enough build power here. I need to use this build power and actually build mass storages around my maxes. So because spending the mass on mass storages is better than spending your mass on nothing, right? So that's why I'm doing that. I always want to keep the mass bar low. That's priority number 1. And now I go for Nothus. And I'm also saying to my Navy players, give me all your inties so I can micro them properly, because the probability that 1300s don't have the APM or the awareness on where to have the Nothus is quite high. Where to have the inties is quite high. So I want to have all the inties. And even if they would be high rated, it's always good to have the inties as one big clump and not to have your inties as 2 separate groups. So now I have all these inties and I'm instantly focusing with 2 noses these mechs. I really want to go for maxes because he doesn't even have a Tech 2 Pigeon yet, so focusing Tech 1 Pigeons isn't really worth it. And I do that in this moment quite badly. What I should do is I should have my inties here, because here is the rock player which is closest to my Nothus, right? The inties of the rock player is closer than the inties of the beach player. So I want to keep my inties here so I'm protect my Nothus. At the moment, these inties can deal damage to my Nothus without me having any impact on these inties. So that's not good. I mean, I managed to kill them, but I could be way more effective here. This Nothel shouldn't have died. And now because I fight with two inti groups, with one inti group, two separate inti groups, I can actually be way more effective. Even though if we would have the same numbers of intis, I would have still won that, just because they have them separate and I have them as one big clump. Now I just spam Nothels and try to kill as many maxes as possible, as fast as possible, because you see it's already 9:30, so it's really time where the air player gonna have ASF. So it's you have to be fast. If you're not fast, this can go horribly wrong. And also my eco balance is very bad in this timing. I should focus really more on making maxes. You see, I started Tech 3 max just to keep the mass bar as low as possible, even though I don't manage it. But I at least try it, right? So, and this energy was... So, I just try to keep my Nothels protected and focus as many maxes as I can and try to kill as many maxes as possible. And so this is bad air coverage here. Yeah. But you see how many maxes I've killed, how far I set him back, because he had to build all this anti-air and lost all these maxes. So this was very bad for him. And now I see ASF out, and I should really stop building any more Nothels. You see, I also stopped, because now the Nothels won't get their value really. Like the ASF are out, all my Nothels gonna get killed probably before they even drop the load. So I really need to focus on eco now and outscale him with eco now, because I have such a big advantage now. He's on 45 mass income, I am on 100. So I have more than double the mass income, and it drops even lower. And now I even remembered that there is a max which got bombed one time, and then I sent just a single Nothel still there, and hope that I can actually finish it off. So now you see he's on 37 mass income and I'm on 105. So I have now 3 times the mass income of my opponent. So this air cancer can be really worth it if you do it properly. And his reaction is actually, because he sees I don't have any units here, he goes with his Tech 2 ACU and want to PD creep me, because he also knows I don't have any Tech 2 land, right? I only have Tech 2 air. Their team has ASF, so I can't use air to defend me, and I don't have units to defend me. That's also why I'm going for the gun ACU. So I can, so I have at least some units which can defend me properly here. And now he's microing his Auroras very badly, and Auroras trade extremely bad if you don't micro them properly. That's why Auroras are very hard to play, especially in lower rated games. And yeah, I just focus on the PD, because I know once my ACU is here, he can't do anything anymore, because I can just overcharge everything he builds, and he's gonna stop with that pretty fast usually. I actually thought about doing a factory here, but it would have took too much time actually. He could have built PDs while I can't, while I try to finish my factory. This factory has just the purpose of getting the reclaim here. And while all that happening is, I try to make Tech 3 maxes to get ahead. One problem I see here is I don't have a single TMD protecting my maxes. He could easily have built here a TML and killed all these maxes, even Tech 3 maxes. So that's very bad played from me, but I'm lucky that he didn't exploit that bad playing. I mean, going for these bombers is a complete wrong move. Like, that's not the purpose of Tech 1 bombers. You don't bomb maxes with Tech 1 bombers. You bomb NGs or Auroras or stuff like that. But trying to bomb maxes is so ineffective because I get all the reclaim from the bombers. And you will have a very hard time to chew through nearly 7,000 HP with Tech 1 bombers. And always react. I mean, yes, my air player can defend me, but I still go for mobile anti-air because you can't just sit back and say, well, air player help me. You also have to do something, even if he helps you, right? So you see, he has not a single Tech 3 max. He's just on Tech 3 HQ, and I have already so many Tech 3 maxes, like 2, 3, 4, nearly 5. Here is going the number 6, so I'm so far ahead of it, just because of the Tech 2 air cancel. So this is a really valuable play if you do it correctly. And after getting my Tech 3 pigeon, I reclaim all my Tech 1 pigeon, because you see how much overflow I have. I overflow 3000 power. So, but I'm storing mass. That means that I don't need power, but I need mass, and I can get rid of the power by control K-ing pigeon, and I get mass from that too. So that's the correct play here. Now I'm seeing this getting quite dangerous because he's just on Tech 2 Navy while he has already Destroyers trying to kill my maxes. So just get NGs here and build Tech 2 shields and build multiple shields. In this case, you don't want to assist the shield because it's more expensive and you get less HP per mass you spend, and it takes more time to get actually the HP. So just build multiple shields in such a case. In other case you should assist your shield, but in this case just build new shields. It's more effective. So now the problem is I'm really overflowing a lot of mass. Like my eco balance now is very bad because I'm full Tech 3 max, but I have nothing to spend my mass on, right? I mean, I'm not full Tech 3, but nearly. So I can't really spend my mass on anything because I don't even have power for that. And my focus should be really getting more build power and more power online. So, and the reason why I'm not going Navy is because there's basically no need for it. I mean, this looks dangerously, but if he just spends his mass, and he does it on Navy, there's no way he can actually win that. Because if you look at eco-wise, he's 100 mass ahead. So if he just spent his mass on Navy, there's no way he can win this. So I'm quite confident that he can hold on. And here is nothing really happening dangerously. So there's no need to go Navy. I can just eco up and get an even bigger advantage to him. Then I build like one or two RTs. I do that just so he doesn't want to stay here basically, and to deal some damage. But don't over-invest in Tech 2 RTs. Tech 2 RTs are quite expensive, and they are not really efficient. Like, they cost 2000 mass, but they do not nearly enough to be as expensive as a Tech 2 destroyer, for example. So don't overinvest these RDs. And now I'm going for a nuke, because I don't see here any SMD, no SMD here, no SMD here. I don't see any SMDs here. I don't even see the Tech 3 HQ, so I can assume that my nuke gonna land, right? If there is no nuke, no SMD at all, and yes, this isn't properly scouted, but I can just work with that. So I assume there is no SMD, and then I see, okay, if there is no SMD, I try to abuse the nuke, right? So you always want to see the weak spots of your enemy and then act according to that. If you don't see SMD, go for a nuke. If you don't see any air, go for air units. If you don't see Navy, go for Navy. Like, you just have to see where the opponents are weak and how to abuse this. The problem is, right after I started the nuke, he actually got a scout through. Actually, this SAM was dedicated to kill these scouts, but yeah, it didn't work out. You should probably build like 2 or 3 SAMs, then it would be safe. But yeah. When I finished my nuke, he just started his SMD. So with this intel, and I had way more build power there, I assume my nuke can actually load before his SMD is loaded. One problem is here, I stall. You should never stall when you load a nuke. In the last balance patch, this got more or less fixed, so it doesn't have an it now has a proportional impact, but still you shouldn't stall while loading a nuke, because time is so important. Like, from the construction of the nuke to the first scouting of the nuke is the most important time. Like, if the nuke is scouted, it gets really hard to get it actually through. Because you just spam build power and then you put it to your SMD, and the SMD will always load faster than the nuke. But one thing my nuke is doing is he is forced to put all his build power on the SMD, so he can't spend his mass properly. You see he's overflowing because he has all his build power on the SMD. And also the air player is overflowing also because he can't build an air grid now, because he has to have his build power on the SMD. So you see, even though my nuke doesn't do any real damage in terms of killing units, it does damage by scaling, because they are overflowing, because all the build power goes to the SMD. So now it's cool. I mean, I said to him, push him, because he has so much more destroyers and all these frigates. He has more frigates and more destroyers. And he gets also this reclaim, so it should be easy to push him. And while I'm loading the nuke, I basically do nothing, because I don't want to stall and I can more or less spend my mass. And if I can't spend my mass, I want to send it to my allies. Don't let it just be in your storage. You should really donate it. If you can't spend it, donate your mass. Because I can't spend it because all my build power has to assist the nuke, because it was scouted early and I can't risk not having build power on my nuke. So for me the same thing happening as for him. I have to I overflow, and then I have to donate my mass. Now I'm going for chicken because he had all his build power on the SMD, so I assumed he doesn't have any real defensive for my chicken. Usually I wouldn't do that now, because like it's minute 25 already. That means that my chicken has to face battleships and a lot of Tech 2 destroyers and stuff, so it's very ineffective to do that. Like if you go after minute 23, 24 for a chicken, it mostly dies to battleships, so don't do that. If you build a chicken, you have to, or any other experimental, you have to make it really early on. My nuke got actually, he had an anti-nuke in time, which is bad. I should have focused other things then, but well, you can't know that, right? So I could have killed all this power here, or could have killed his production here, and probably even let him win earlier. But yeah, I think it's okay, because I had such a big lead of the Tech 2 air cancer that it was okay to misfire a nuke. And now, after the chicken is done, I'm just overflowing. I really don't know what is happening here, why I'm not reacting at all. I'm just standing still, doing nothing, basically. I really need to build more power and then build more mass fabs, in this case, to just spend this overflow and get just more eco, just get more eco. Now I'm reacting to it and try to build mass fabs, but because building mass fabs is very power intense and I had so much mass stored, yeah, just build a pigeon before that and then go for spending your mass. And try to let it not have such a big mass amount in your storage. So I think this is one of the big problems in this game for me. I overflowed all the time, so much mass. I could have been so much more effective, and yeah. And I tried actually to abuse the advantage I've got from the tech-to-air cancel so much that I actually set myself behind. If I would have just gone for eco, I would have been probably more effective. Even though I basically won air for us with the noob because he just overflowed all the mass. But yeah, still. I shouldn't have gone for such an aggressive play with the chicken. The chicken was certainly a mistake. The noob is fine, I guess. Even though it didn't land, it was okay. But I shouldn't have gone for the chicken. And I knew he was building a GC, so I don't want to go really in. Because if he has a GC, my chicken gonna die. And in this moment, I just wanted to kill these maxes and actually retreat, but I felt confident and said, well, I can kill this max too and then retreat. Because I don't want to die in his base, I just want to get away. And actually, I timed it quite good, so it would have worked. But now the problem is, the Salims arrive, and I think, oh no, I should micro, but this just leads to this chicken catching up. So this was very bad. I should have just gone in a straight line back. It would be more efficient. And now my only goal is I don't try to fight this chicken. I won't win again. I will never win against this chicken. So I just try to get as close as possible to my own base. So he has a hard time reclaiming it, while I have an easy time to reclaim it. Right? So I want to be as close as possible to my own base. And now he has a fully alive chicken, while I don't have anything. So I just go for a gun ACU and for advanced nano. So I have anything to counter this chicken, right? Because it costs like 15,000 mass, I think. So it costs a bit more than half of a chicken, but can kill a chicken. So it's the most efficient trade I can do at the moment. And you see, I don't really bother going navy. I mean, now I'm going navy to help this side, because I don't want to go for chickens. I don't want to go for anything here anymore. I just want to be secure from his chicken while assisting now top pond. I assist top pond because I think he can win without my help, right? He's on 500 eco nearly, he's on 330. So this eco advantage, even if you micro your battleships like dog shit, you will still win. You have just so much more mass that you're gonna win this pond surely. So I go for the top pond, because the top pond, it doesn't look bad, but the probability that he will lose is way higher than the probability that he will lose. And now this is very bad. I overflow so much power. And I even continue to build power, so this is very bad. I should really go for mass fabs to be able to get rid of this overflow of power. But you see, I'm still
Strategischer
double
Start
the mass
verortet.
amount ahead of my opponent, just because I went for the Tech 2 air cancel. Now I nuke his production, because mass, yeah, I mean you could also nuke the island. This would be also a fine play, I guess. But the thing is, mass is irrelevant if you can't spend your mass. So I go for the build power, and then you can have a Paragon, but it's completely irrelevant because you can't spend the mass on Navy, and this allows to actually gain an advantage. With that advantage, you get control over the reclaim field, and with having reclaim, you also have more mass again, right? So it's better to go for the build power than going for these 5 maxes here. So now I really want to focus on helping the top bond. I nuked him. I go now for a battleship or for battleships, and but my opponent has a lot of anti-air, so air can't really help me. He doesn't have a big air advantage that he can go for strats or something, and he has a lot of anti-air, so that Tech 1 bombers aren't an option either. So now I have to figure out how to deal with 2 chickens, and the only thing I can do is actually pause all my NGs and then going for a chicken and try to go with my ACU and deal the damage which is needed to kill the chickens. I mean, that's a very risky play, but I won't deal with the chickens in time. Like I won't be able to do that with this amount of build power building chickens. Like they will overrun me completely before I have my second chicken done. So I need to figure out a way, and just the ACU is the only real way how to protect myself. And the good thing is, he doesn't want to make the same mistake I did with just running my chicken in and then seeing another chicken going towards me. He wants to scout before going in, which is a good choice. Like, that's exactly what you should do. But what he should have done is doing it even before he stands there, because if he stands there, I have more time to finish actually my chicken. Also, I moved my battleships here to kill the chickens, because now I need every force I can get. I dropped quite far away. I should have dropped somewhere here, but I want to drop behind the chickens, because chickens can only fire in front of them. So I want to be behind the chickens so that they have at least to turn around and buy me some time. But I was afraid of the Tech 3 anti-air, which would have easily killed me in the transport. So I tried to figure out a way where I don't get a risk to get sniped by the Tech 3 anti-air, but also being behind the chickens. Now the chicken actually buys me some time to catch up to to these chickens. And I already farmed some veterancy. And now when the chicken is dead, he sees my ACU here, and he's very now instead of going here, it would be such a better choice if he would just go here, because here's nothing to defend these chickens. Nothing. There's not a single PD, which can defend these chickens. The only thing which can protect me is my ACU, and he walks straight into my ACU, while having here a death chicken which can have this laser beam and kill or deal damage to these chickens. So what I'm doing now is I just click left and right and try to avoid as many shots as possible, because if 2 chickens fire at you, you're very fast dead. Like, you have only the HP, not even the HP of a monkey lord, and 2 chickens versus a monkey lord kills a monkey lord quite quickly. So you really have to micro cautiously. Then I have target priority on experimental, and I have a lot of power to actually overcharge. And you see, I always switch my move commands and try to avoid as many shots. I did this in that moment really poorly, but this laser beam killed this chicken and created another laser beam, and they both deal so much damage to this chicken that my OCs are enough to actually kill this in the end. So it is a very risky play, but it was certainly the cheapest play and the most effective in killing it. And now I just run away so I don't get caught up in these laser beams, because they do a lot of damage. Now I have another chicken just to protect my front, or it was supposed to do it. My ACU did it already. And now I really have to get my maxes back and get all this reclaim, because now there are 30,000 mass in form of reclaim. So I really want to get that and put that into navy. And you see, I'm already overflowing because I don't unpause this factory. So this is just, as I said, my eco balance at that time wasn't really good. I should have done that way earlier. And now you see also I have a lot of Tech 1 factories just spamming NGs to get the reclaim. As I said in the beach walkthrough, it's the most important thing in Tech 3 Navy fight, to get the reclaim. Like, getting reclaim is basically most of your mass income probably. Like, he's lying let's say 50 or 60,000 mass around. So it's a lot. It really changes the whole game if you reclaim or you don't reclaim. So now I try to make even more use of my ACU, because it was quite an expensive upgrade, like 15,000 as I said before, and I want to get even a bigger impact. And that just by focusing or trying to drop on the island and kill all the maxes, kill the build power. Yeah, that's my plan at least. And you see, I'm completely overflowing. Now I react to it actually. And but you see, I'm overflowing, and then I send just mass to my allies. If I can't spend my mass, donate it. Like, there's nothing worse than overflowing. Stalling mass is not as bad as stalling as overflowing mass. So, and now you see, he actually dropped these factories and gave me the intel, or he forced an SAM here, and I just wanted to drop there. So you have to really pay attention to these kind of little things, because if I would have just dropped there, my transport would be instantly dead. I'm really happy that he focused the torps instead of my transport, and I just decided to, okay, I don't drop there. I probably could have even landed there, because he focuses the torps instead of my ACU, but I don't want to risk it. And I don't send this chicken in. This chicken is just protection. Yeah. and I get all the reclaim which is laying there, and I build even more chicken. Why do I do that in this situation? Because I know this pond is 1 and this pond looking really good at 2, which means the battleships can't focus my chickens. If they focus my chickens, the pond is 1 and my chickens got their value. And if they don't focus my chicken, I just ran through and they get their value. So the probability that these chickens get their value is very high. What I didn't do good here is I didn't build any flag to help them, which is always a mistake. Even though your air player has 1 air, you always build flag to your experimenters. Never go with an experimenter without flag. And I reclaimed poorly. I should have had like 1 or 2 Tech 1 factories just building engines to reclaim all this and to get the mass even quicker. And I also should have built factories here to get all the reclaim from the bottom pond. Yeah, so my reclaim game in this replay, it's very bad. I should have reclaimed way more. Like, I should have had here double the amount of factories and adjust the attack move to somewhere here. And I should have built here factories. I should have built here land factories to get, like, you should spam the whole map full of your engines to get as much mass as possible. Now I nuked his navy because there's no other place. Like this has an SMD and will die to my to the battleships anyway. He has an SMD, so there's nothing I can actually nuke which isn't gonna die anyway. The only thing is basically this. This would probably die anyway, but it's still the biggest resistance. So I just focus the battleships here and try to do as much damage as possible. I mean, I killed 3 battleships. He's just left with like 3 or 4 battleships. So it was a okay trade. Like, loading 1 nuke cost like 10,000 mass, and I killed 3 battleships which are like 27,000 mass, so it got their value. I mean, I just dropped into the water and wanted to build PD, even though I don't have Tech 1 or Tech 2 PD, Tech 2 ACU. I just use your ACU. I'm very secure here. I have 45,000 HP. I have a lot of regen, so I'm more or less safe here. So I can just try to be a bit annoying. And I don't stop building battleships here, which is a big problem. I should really stop building battleships. And I mean, the good thing is I'm already transporting these NGs to this side. My first thought was, well, this side is 1, so I win this side too. But like, if you look closer, you see this is completely lost already. Like, this is just a formality to end this. So I know both ponds are 1 now. Okay, so this pond is 1, this pond is 1, and that leads, of course, to mid dying also. You can't have a mid base while all these battleships firing at it. So what do? I want to help my air player, and I'm going for a Navassa. Like, all slots are 1, even air is kind of 1, so I go for a Navassa. And now I'm saying he has a game ender. Why? Because he got maxes gifted and they don't recall. Like, there is no way you can win this game if you don't have a Paragon. Like, this point is lost. Like, you can't sit on one airbase while having a whole lot of bases and all the reclaim. You can't win that. So everybody would recall, except they are building a game ender, or at least planning to build a game ender. So now I have 3 chickens and I send them in. Because now, first of all, I just wanted to finish third chicken. And second, every navy is dead and my chicken can't be killed by navy. As I said, it's a problem that I didn't build any flag for it. But yeah, now I can just run into it and basically kill the whole mid. Because there's nothing to defend. A few blazes, but they won't do much.
Commander wird angegriffen. Commander wird angegriffen.
Now I tell my air player he should go for strats because he has already more ASF. So he should go for strats and I go for a Wasser. And combined, there's basically no way you can defend against it. Even though if you have a lot of SAMs, it's really hard to defend against such a, like, you just have so much more mass into air units. Because we have all this map control and all our maxes that you can't outproduce us in SAMs when we're going full in on air to ground units.
Commander wird angegriffen. Commander wird angegriffen. Commander wird angegriffen. Strategischer Start geortet.
Yeah, he tried to kill me with all these trope launchers. It doesn't really work. I mean, yes, I lost half of my HP, but just because I stood there completely AFK, not caring about my ACU. Because the game is won even if I'm dying, like there's no way this game can't be won. And now he's firing a nuke at this navy, which is completely... I mean, he kills Reclaim. That's probably the biggest impact he has. But, like, this is lost anyway. The battleships have kind of killed everything which is within the reach of them. So... And he didn't even kill the battleships. And now I just split my chickens I do that so if they have PDs, for example, here, I can go with them around, right? Like I don't lose all my chickens into one fire base. I just go around and can deal or inflict even more damage. And have also a wider range of applying damage. If I have all my chickens here in one spot, I have just complete overkill for these few factories and stuff. But if I spread them out, I can kill this air grid, and I do way more damage per second, as if I would just have them clumped up because of overkill. And now he gave me all the strats, and I had my 2 Avasas. What I'm doing now is I have my Avasas focusing the shield. So because 2 Avasas, you can't repair your shield between 2 Avasas. It's basically impossible. And then my strats go in and kill the Paragon finally. This is basically impossible to defend, because even if he has like 7 shields, my Avasa deal damage to every one of these 7 shields, right? So, and then after the shields are depleted, then my strats come in. If I would probably change it, the strats don't necessarily need to damage every other shield. They probably deal damage to 1 or 2 shields. So these Avasas are very good at dealing with a lot of shields placed around a Paragon. And the strats are very good at dealing high damage at a single small target. So for killing shields you want to have your Avasas, and for applying a lot of damage on a small point you want to use the strats. That's why I micro my Avasas in front of my strats. Now he reacted very badly, but well, I mean, it was over anyway, at least with all these strats. And now I even hover bombed, so I spam just a lot of move commands under my Avasas. So even if they drop, they'd probably drop on the Paragon and deal even more damage. Or I can probably get even a second bomb off. So you see, the Avasa nearly killed the Paragon actually. But yeah, I mean, with this, the game was over. They couldn't get the Paragon done. Even if the Paragon would have been done, I think it would be really hard to win this. But not impossible, I guess. But yeah, I mean, in these late stages of the game where it's more or less decided, I tend to overflow a lot just because, well, I don't really need any units, so I don't spend my mass. But yeah. So the thing is, front gameplay, you don't have a dedicated role. If you're a beach, you really have to play navy. If you're a rock, you have to play navy. If you're air, you have to play, at least to some degree, air. In front, after the initial fight, there's nothing you have to do. So you don't have a dedicated role. So you're very free in your decision making. Do I assist navy? Do I go for experimentals? Do I go for a nuke? I can even assist the air player. So you are very free in what you're doing, and then the decision making becomes also relevant, because if you have a lot of decision you can make, it's the probability that you do a decision which isn't good is higher. So you really, if you're front, you should really analyze the map and see where you can help. is some navy in danger? Is some navy pushing? You really need to analyze that and try to help there. And yeah, I mean, it's probably the most fun slot because you don't have to do anything, but you can do everything. So yeah, I mean, this was basically how you play front. You try to get an advantage and try to abuse the weak spots of the opponents, like going, if you don't see an SMD, go for a nuke, or if you don't see any defensive measurements, go for a chicken, go for a Wasses if air is won. And I chose this replay not because I played particularly well, because I didn't. I overflowed a lot of mass, and yeah, that was a really good play or gameplay of me. But it showed a lot of different strategies, and it showed you how diverse the gameplay on front is actually. You can do a lot of different strategies, and yeah, I think that was really well shown in this replay, that you can go for a very wide variety of different strategies. So this was the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys could learn a lot from it, and see you next time.